What up, everybody? It's the Well-Spoken Token coming at you again with another episode. Oh my God, guys. You know what? I just love being here on the mic, man. I stepped up here and I was like, damn, Mike, you sexy. Just like you guys. I'm so happy, right, that your ears are locked in, tuned into the Well-Spoken Token podcast. Today on the show, you know, I got my brother here with me. Bro, say what up to the folks.
What's happening, man? That's a nice bacon neck shirt you got there, bud.
Yeah, you know, it's a little crispy. Small children, they like to grab on things when they're swinging from you like a jungle gym. That's what they do.
Warming up the bottles.
You know, that sounds sus real quick. I'm gonna let
doing pull-ups on your crew neck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm about to tear him down.
You just bought this. This is great. But we have a guest on the pod today. He is incredible, very talented artist. Let us hear from Mr. True Comics. What's going on, my man?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for shouting out True Comics. Thank you so much for reading the book. 21 pages. Very ironic. Like I used to be a theater major as a playwright, but I don't like to read.
Okay, that's good stuff.
That's actually interesting.
I don't like to read. I got my distaste for reading when we read Shakespeare. He was speaking this language that I didn't quite muster.
That fucking iambic pentameter shit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I was
yes, indeed.
What else? But then I listened to like later, like Greek tragedies or whatever, like The Journey of Crayon or Twelfth Night.
Yeah.
If you read the book and like you pay attention, it's like, oh, is that a line from Shakespeare? Like, oh shit.
Yeah, right.
Like, but speaking of the book is about in the year 3033, a few years after the downtrend, it's pretty much heroic whistleblower turned noir detective Kang Sambo is on the case to clean his soul of guilt and shame along with the goth intern Ruba. There's a reason why Ruba is goth, which is explained later. Though they're both solving this final conspiracy where it'll change the Beyond and True City forever. So the Beyond is pretty much sort of like this Mad Max sort of desert, and the reason why it looks like that is because an alien invasion came in and humanity had to take refuge in these bunkers around the world, you know, with the United Nations putting money together and blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's a lot of, as I said before we started, a lot of cyber shit.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Well, that's always good. I think that like, you know, that there's nothing quite like a good sci-fi epic, you know what I mean? There's nothing quite like, I don't want to say the story, because it's not story tropes, right? But it's the elements that create a good sci-fi story, you know?
Absolutely. And what I'm a fan of with it when it comes to sci-fi, right, is that you can do anything, right? But at the same time, you can have these same awesome themes that we become accustomed to with some of our Greek classics, with some of our awesome American parables, things like that. We have these like incredible stories that can be told in these different backdrops, and we have awesome like incredible area for like exploration and things to that degree. So I think it's really cool that you decided to play in that space for the book itself, actually.
Right.
Because like I'm always a fan, like Altered Carbon, things to that degree. And so baby, you a LG man? That looks like an LG.
Yeah, it is. It's
I'm about the LG life, Android for life, thank God.
They're not paying me, but shout out Android. They're not paying me.
Shout out. I'm out.
Good thing it's an operating system. We're good.
Nice.
They'll never pay us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm like, hey, look, I'm saying that some
Samsung.
Yeah, right. I'm not out here trying to be a flagship. Like, I mean, I just shouted out LG, but I'm not out here for the flagship phones. It's just not me.
Right.
Shout out Google phones.
Yeah,
brah. You know, we're trying to destabilize the environment here. We want to make sure that people get what the fuck they're paying for. But I mean, excuse me, I don't mean to rant and ramble.
Speaking of that, fuck Marvel Comics.
Word.
Speaking of like just giving the fans
out the gate.
Let's get it.
Right. Fuck Marvel. Why fuck Marvel Comics?
Well, first of all, we're not saying every artist, fuck every writer. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. But absolutely fuck the corporation, like fuck Disney, Disney Marvel, fuck regular Marvel. Because I get it. There's a lot of bullshit. And even famous motherfuckers are like, fuck Marvel.
Right.
Damn.
No. Fuck that entire, I'm not gonna say the industry, but the way they conduct business sometimes it's just like, all right, man, you're doing something to the industry that's not sustainable for smaller creators.
Yeah, no, it's almost like you can't get a piece of that pie. It's very difficult, which is wild because, like, I mean, look at Ryan Coogler, right? Outside, we're going in, but like, look at Ryan Coogler. I'll say that he's an individual who came out of an association with Disney that's doing pretty well. And I mean, he's fair. I wouldn't say that Ryan Coogler is even like I would say he was underground, because I mean, even under his belt, absolutely, Fruitvale Station, we've got the Creeds, and we've also got Black Panther. All fantastic movies, all hit out the park. I say that like that's an interesting relationship that went well,
right?
But I don't think,
and even then, I think Ryan knew exactly what he was kind of getting into when he jumped into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just to shoot some bail at people that are associated with Marvel. But I would love to hear.
Sure. But I don't throw the artists or the writers into the same bucket as Marvel as a machine.
Whoever's responsible.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that because you remember Marvel before the boom. You remember Marvel before things started looking great.
We remember broke Marvel. We remember when you were almost bankrupt Marvel.
I think they did go bankrupt.
Oh wow.
Blade saved it. Blade saved Marvel from going bankrupt. That's why we have Marvel as we have it today. Because Guillermo del Toro directed that masterpiece and Wesley Snipes executed it. Yep. Yeah. That was all three are all Guillermo del Toro, or like Jesus Christ.
Not Latin, it's okay.
Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Del Toro, you did a fantastic job. Excuse me, I fucked up your name. Have you ever like, well, excuse me, before we even get into that, your take on like fuck Marvel, right? Is it where do you stand on that? Like, yeah, obviously fuck them, but like where's that animosity and hatred come from?
The industry kind of reminds me of, you ever seen Ned's Declassified? Like,
love Ned's Declassified.
There's this episode where the black kid with the glasses, he's like he's with the cool kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's with the cool kids for like a day or like maybe a week or something like that.
That's when he had that dumbass tracksuit on, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
P Cookie.
Yeah, that was P Cookie.
and he was at the lunch table. He basically realized they weren't as cool as he thought they were.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what the industry is. You know, you have the cool kids, which are Marvel and DC. You have the nerds, which is like Valiant. You have
Dark Horse.
Yeah, the goth kids, which is Dark Horse or something. You have
the token black kid, Milestone.
Right. Wow. I mean, you know, that's what it was. You know, the Milestone story is very inspiring, but like to see how it devolved.
But look where we're at, and I'm not mad at how awesome it was back in the day when Milestone was putting on. Like, Mr. Terrific is still that nigga.
Yeah,
Icon will solo all your favorites.
Yeah, easy day for Icon. But
we'll make light work of your Supermans, of your fucking Captain Marvels, both Captain Marvels.
But they are, but just like you said, they are still in the major umbrella. Like they're still like, if you had to look at it, these are the companies that have been allowed, right, to exist and prosper in the space.
It's for any comic book writer or artist, editor. It's, you know, you're in the industry with your lunch tray, and you're like, which table do I sit?
Where do I sit? Yeah.
And experiment. Don't be afraid to sit down at a table and get embarrassed. I mean,
right.
At least they know that they're not on your team.
Right.
You know, they don't have to waste your time, but be careful, because if you sit at one table, they might all be fake niggas and they're all
right. And that ruins the whole experience. That'll sour your whole lunch experience as a whole.
Yeah, so you make your ass want to go sit under the bleachers and fucking have your milk, and you try.
I can't even eat this shit. Fuck these motherfuckers. But that does make me like wonder, right? So True Comics, right? You've been doing your thing for how many years now?
Technically 2019, but we took it serious. Like this is not a
Right.
hobby that, like for a year.
Okay.
so
What does it mean?
Year.
What does that actually mean to like start taking comic series? So like our younger brother, right? He's a great artist. I think he's a very stylized artist, so I'm not gonna say he's a fantastic artist, right? But he's a great artist. And he like going through like coming up or whatever, he would draw his own comic books and he would like share them with his friends and the whole nine.
Yeah.
And to some that would look like it's serious, but I don't know like what that actually encompasses. Like what encompasses taking the comic thing serious.
And I think that's different for everybody. But what about you?
Keep talking about it nonstop. Keep writing nonstop. Keep talking about how much you're writing nonstop. Keep drawing. Keep talking about how much you love drawing nonstop. And you're going to spiral your way up.
Right.
Socially speaking, you're going to spiral up.
I mean, I'm a huge Gurren Lagann fan, so like the fact that you use the term spiral, I'm all about the drill. It's almost become like a part of my own like personal philosophy. Is just like, if you continue in these concentric circles, up and up and up, that you will burrow your way eventually to the top.
Yeah.
And
the shitty part about you, hear that, and that is the most beautiful feeling in the world. And they're like, I heard about you. You're Virgil, or you're well spoken. Yeah. Like I heard about you from
XYZ, whatever.
It's like,
but you know what's weird? What's weird about Gurren? Oh, no, what was you saying? What was you about to say, bro?
Oh no, I was actually going to touch on the fact that you mentioned that you were a theater major. That is actually something we have in common. That was something that I'm still very passionate about the arts. Like I very much a theater nerd. It's kind of like once you're a part of that thespian crew, like it's just where it's at. But like in your study, you said you were a playwright. That's interesting.
Yeah,
because I had some playwright like friends like that operated on that opposite end of it, right? Like it's like it's the same world, but I've always found playwrights to be some of the most interesting people because they're just like their brain is always somewhere else, damn near.
Yeah, the brain definitely works backwards.
It's just like because I'm up here like, here's my drill. All right, I know I've got to do practicum, build this set.
I just need the motivation.
I'm a techie / actor. That was my thing. I was like, okay, I want to be behind the scenes and I also want to be in front of the camera. Like,
no, dude. Cheers.
Yeah, but so did you ever, given that you were a playwright, right? So is this where the interest in comics were? Was that already there, or is that like something that?
That was just me being petty towards my professor.
Okay, got you.
I didn't start out. I did not start out good. I think my first play was a boxing drama called Calluses.
You really can't go wrong with a good boxing drama. Because you only need like 3 sets at the max. Maybe just one, possibly. You can put the whole thing in
one ring, one ring on the stage. You can do it in the round. It'd be great.
The lighting isn't even that complicated. On top of that, you can just be like, all right, cool. We got full stage. Full stage spotlight, and
MC is written into the goddamn premise. Like you just have this motherfucker stand in the middle of the ring with a. I mean, mind you, I don't know how you staged that, but my brain started going. I was like, oh, you got to in the middle of the ring is a dude with a microphone. He's like,
that's how I know y'all are both some theater niggas, because that's what's just like you immediately was like, oh yeah, that's how we can set the set right there.
Oh
my
god. We actually worked on we had a theorized musical. It was called Push. It was gonna be about like 3 pregnant women that all went through that.
Nigga, I had a theorized. So
no, I was there too.
No, right. But when you were there during the inception, but when I started, so before I started doing what I'm doing now, I actually wanted to be a playwright. So I was really, I was really, really deep into the trenches. I was reading plays as often as I possibly could. I would go to the library and I would just sit in the corner and just be like, okay, this is what makes Noises Off good. This is what makes XYZ good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I was like, you know what, I don't want to do it. You said what?
Neil Simon is a god,
Neil Simon's dope. Fucking, in fucking, what's the guy's name? The guy who wrote August, what's his name?
August
Wilson?
Was it August Wilson? He wrote the The thing with Sidney
Fences?
Poitier.
Yeah, no, it's Fences.
Yeah, he wrote Fences.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. Yeah.
Oh my, that one scene. We know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah, nigga, it's like I don't have to like you.
I don't have to like you. It's like, damn.
Nigga and his daddy.
Right. My whole relationship with my father makes sense now. What the fuck? Right.
I also like
what's her name? What's her name? Viola Davis.
She
killed that.
Yes, indeed. I'm ready to see her buff as hell,
right.
like slicing up white men on the like slave trade. That's gonna be wild, yo. Her queen, what is it, Woman King? Like,
yeah, the woman. What is it? I think it's called the Woman King. I don't know. I just got aware of it like yesterday, maybe. Yeah, it is giving big Black Panther vibes. I'm like, I don't know. Is it based on something? Is it based on another work, or is it?
I think it's based on a real woman. Like, I think it was a real woman.
And we're gonna make sure that
tribe that like a real woman that led
a bunch of like elite warriors.
Yeah, I mean, we still here. America happened, and we still here. So I mean, like,
right?
They did okay. They might have survived. I know my great grandpa didn't.
Right,
but either way, extending out of our like transatlantic slave trade back.
There you go.
I was gonna say this. What I like about speaking with someone who's interested in making their own comics, right, is that to do so you have to be madly versed in a crap ton of topics. You're kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to information, because comic books have so many references. When you put things in settings, you definitely want to try to do the best job that you can. So you end up studying a lot more. You end up studying a lot more mediums than you even probably think about. Like, because just to make a character real outside of like your own experience.
I think the most realistic superhero, now that you mentioned it, that was an amazing point. The most realistic superhero would be an anti-hero. Like, everyone goes through stuff every day, I guess. So when you give a nobody extraordinary abilities, I predict that they wouldn't. Pretty much what I'm trying to say here. A character is interesting when every choice that they make is not a perfect choice.
Agreed.
So, for example, like we were just talking about Fallout. So, like, Fallout is a perfect example because it's an RPG game where every choice that you make, it's not a perfect choice.
Yeah.
So that's what I like to do with like my characters and our books and stuff like that is make them
imperfect, or like
give them a flaw, a character.
Because I definitely believe that every character, if you really want to write a realistic, grounded character, it's about like not trying to strive to make your character like this paragon of morality.
I'm invincible,
right? And on top of that, my ideals are unwavering. I think that that's the one where it's just like, all right, I don't know if you would have handled this situation.
Like, how many times do we see this black and white thing put in? And I think that one reason, like, one of the most popular characters around is Batman. People love Batman. It's very easy to get around, but that's because
you killed people before, bro.
Yeah, no, Batman
has done worse than kill people. Batman has ruined lives and legacies.
Traction.
You remember when he killed KGB agent? I think he put him in like a basement or a sewer.
Yeah.
He just let him die.
I'll let the rats get
for like 3 days.
Right.
Yeah. No, Batman is an anti-hero. Well, what I'll say is this: his morals are unwavering, and that's a good point that I was gonna say to you, Virgil. People are attracted to him, I feel like, for the anti-hero qualities, and the fact that like Batman is no powers, no abilities. He's just got an incredible set of skills, breaks collarbones and fucks stuff up, and takes the law into his own hand type situation. People like that, like the detective thought process. But like what I'll say is the reason why Sherlock Holmes is like timeless, right, is because Sherlock spends a great deal of time addicted to like multiple substances. Sherlock spends a good time not being the best of people, and it shows him as a true human rather than like some demi-human or some demigod to like deify or put on some icon to put up on a pedestal. Like
when he triumphs over a challenge, that's like finally,
right?
Oh my god!
About time you got off the fucking morphine, bro.
That was it. It was morphine. Yeah,
he was on morphine.
Heroin.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you know this. Yeah, no, morphine turns to heroin in your liver.
Okay, I don't know
Like,
that.
sorry, when I say turns to heroin, I mean the same chemical that is heroin and the same effects that are produced. That's morphine. Like people, like we get that just like here you go in the hospital. Like you get hurt, there you are. But
where
like,
do you get morphine from?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually don't know.
Like, where was he getting morphine?
I mean, it was the 1800s though.
I know where he was getting morphine. He actually had a plug with the mortician. That's
oh wow.
Why
yeah.
does a
That was the thing.
morphine?
Morticians actually end up fixing up a lot of illegal people. That's the thing is that
you're right.
Because of the fact that you have medical training, you operate on bodies all day.
That's actually what happened to barbers, if you can believe that.
Yeah, no, barbers as well. Another like what's called
because people who were barbers, like they used to be regarded as medical professionals. That's why that's why the barber pole is red and blue. It's like, oh, this is like a hospital waiver or whatever, right? You know, basic sanitation. So like when fucked up shit happens to you, you can go to the barber and the barber can possibly kill your infection.
Yeah, now mind you, this is because
sprays the back of your head.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're good, bro. Right. It's ultimately, like, you know, I think that's really dope that, you know, we was able to get onto that diatribe or whatever. But back to the fuck Marvel thing, right?
It's always back to fuck Marvel.
No, I think that there's levity to it, because I think you have to say fuck Marvel before you realize like where you can go.
But then again, my inspiration comes from that.
Yeah, but I think that your inspiration didn't come from like the CEOs or the board members, right? You're like Donny Cates, like people that write like awesome stories, right? that do shit. Like Marvel for a good time frame. Like I feel like
Jim Lee,
he was fantastic. I got off of the this is the thing, like we like to make shit very conversational. So when I ask you, in your own experience, like because you're of the fuck Marvel persuasion, do you consume like other comics? Like what comics are you consuming that are you getting inspiration from now? Because like I understand, like obviously all of us in our past, like we love these comics. These are the stories of our childhood and lives. But like what's driving your imagination now in your comics? Because obviously it's fuck Marvel.
Just real life, spending time with friends, spending time with family. Like as a writer, I do both. Like I'll be in the house writing nonstop, going on and on and on and on. And sometimes you'll go to the club or to a party or somewhere, and you'll see
the scene.
You'll see like a building, and you're like, that's it.
That's the one. That's the set piece I've been missing the entire
time. This is gonna round out. This panel is gonna round out. So you approach things. Do you approach things from the thought process of a writer, or do you approach things from the thought process of an artist? Like, and that's weird to try to make you put one of them before the other, right? Or like something, because I mean, maybe it's synonymous. Maybe sometimes it's the writer brain, sometimes it's the art.
It's crazy. I don't necessarily think art, like you know, visual art is synonymous with writing, because I think yes, you can tell a complete story with a picture, but I think you flesh out the story with your words.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's the beauty of like the comic medium, because like you combine both. You can tell a story with just one panel, you know, it's a scene or whatever, right? Like not to bring up like Hunter x Hunter or whatever, like not to bring anime back into the shit. But there's there's this thing that I like started like noticing while I was watching like Hunter x Hunter, because I started watching the original from like 1999. And one of the differences with that medium entirely was that there was more visual storytelling from that era. Like to show the passage of time, you would be like, okay, well, the sun is at this position today. Like, right. And over time, over the course of like the episode or whatever, the panel, not the panel, like the art would,
the position and the position of the sun would change, the shadows would change.
Right.
This is to show passage of time. Whereas now with like a My Hero or something to that degree, things are happening so fast. And I think that's another thing that was kind of lost.
They have to.
Yeah, in Dragon Ball Z, things are slow paced, right? But the thing is that it's because they're trying to chalk so much BS into like one episode, like
right. And you know what's great? I think that That's something
So
that
we,
like
also excuse us. We will dovetail back and forth all goddamn day. Please, please, for God's sake.
No, I'm listening because
right.
Dragon Ball Super has got this weird rap.
Yeah, I agree.
I loved when Frieza and Goku were doing their thing. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's cool to see that again.
Like Battle of F. Oh, that's crazy.
Right.
You're doubling back, but they're stronger now. Hey, this is kind of at its core exactly Dragon Ball Z.
And
Like,
to bring that back to fuck Marvel, because I and what's crazy, because I didn't originally see this connection, right? But I'm kind of seeing like there's more to say fuck Marvel about, you know? It's like there was a period of time, like especially the early 90s, across the board, that the only thing that mattered was the rule of cool, right? If it's cool, put that in there. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Just put it in.
They got different hair today. They decided to like, they got trench coats on. Right. It's all trench coats, zippers.
90-degree weather.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Spawn's supernatural body doesn't make conceptual sense. But the motherfucker got chains all over him. He's fucking dope. Like, fuck it. Who cares?
Some things just float for no reason. But it was rule of cool. I get what you mean.
And now in like modern comics, it's like, let's try to ground it in real world issues so often, you know what I mean? Like Marvel, but I mean, I'm not one of those dudes. I'm not finna like take away like the decision to try to integrate like real world issues and real world talking points into comic books, but try to make it cool at least.
Yeah.
At least try to make this shit cool. You know, even with DC, like it's like, are you trying to? And there are certain indie comics, and there's certain indie comic like, holy shit! I just had a revelation. That's crazy. That's fucking. I had the revelation that it's like one of the reasons that indie comics are kind of like not struggling, because they're not struggling. Indie comics are doing decent for their size. Right.
As Godhood Comics said, like this is the perfect. Although I don't like that word indie. It's sort of like this propaganda word of
the buzzword.
If that makes sense.
No, I get you.
So these, I guess, B-level companies, they have a chance to do like these Naruto S-rank missions now, because this trend of fuck Marvel. If it overwhelms Marvel's going to be.
They have to change.
Yeah,
they have
to make a change.
Or something like
that, they'll fall all the way off.
Yeah, or something like CNS Comics will take its place.
Right.
Shout out CNS.
Shout out to CNS.
Shout out to CNS.
We hope that it takes over.
Yeah, I want a dope ass CNS leather jacket. That sounds
for the first time in like maybe
what,
7
years? 15 years?
I don't want to say 10, because like 10 years ago was 2012.
Yeah.
And I was still enjoying comics at the time. I was still reading comics. I'm like, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, I mean, but that was like right before the mundanity of like all new, all different Marvel, the DC Rebirth situation. Like, because we were going through, we were going through New 52 stuff, and that was like, okay, well, this DC's making its jump, and then Marvel is making the all new, different Marvel situation. So everybody's trying to make a change, but it has gotten really stale in the last, I guess you're right, 7 years, because they did have a decent little run during that time frame.
I definitely think that like B-level comics, or like non-mainstream comics, have taken that idea of like, okay, this is cool to me, so I'm going to throw this in here, whatever. And the issue with like non-mainstream anything is like you don't know the format that makes it palatable to the mainstream. So like you can't break into the mainstream, because what the mainstream is used to seeing is like 4-word panels, or like 2-word fucking, whatever, or like, you can't just have, just like with the Watchmen, how many pages was that fucking
the actual graphic novel is like thick.
It's thick, but like there's a section where like there's no words, it's just panel. It's just
panels
like
panels. Yeah, no, there's whole Rorschach sections where it's just like paneling of him like casing the joint, or like that shit's
right. And it's like, we're not going to assault your senses or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like, we want you to sit, read, and digest this. And I think that a lot of these mainstream comics are like, we're not gonna sell anything if we don't bombard these motherfuckers with everything all at once. You know what I mean? Like the art is flat and bland, but there's words there, and there's words that are easy to digest by you. You know what I mean? There's no ideas or concepts that are not easy to digest. You know,
no one's being forced to think as much, I feel like, in the mainstream of
I mean,
comics.
Marvel is good for kids.
it is good for kids.
Great for kids.
But if I was a kid,
money.
they are fantastic with making money.
Yeah.
They are fantastic with making money. But I don't think they're making the money off the comics anymore.
Yeah. I think that comic book wise, they've definitely switched around, which is why the parent, like a parent company of like, I mean, Marvel Studios, I guess, is technically where we should direct that with the Disney situation. Like the fact that Disney as the controlling factor of Marvel itself, it spells weird for like comics as a whole, because yes, we're still getting gritty, crazy Marvel in some factors, but there are still like a big emphasis on making sure that some of these properties can cross over. Like we want to make sure that, look,
that's it right there. They're trying to make sure that everything they create can cross into some movie or some other thing.
You gotta watch 3 TV shows to know what's going on, bro.
Right. And that's
been, subscribe to Disney Plus, bro.
That's been
$99 right now.
All the way off.
Right.
Because it's just like, so before I watch Doctor Strange, I have to watch WandaVision.
Oh yeah.
I have to watch all of these things. Yeah. You know, it's annoying because it's just like you're trying to create this ecosystem to get people to buy into your company and not into your ideas.
Right. And so, but what I'll say is this, right? Like to your point there, I understand it, right? But comic books as a whole, like we are used to consuming things in issue format. We're used to, like, some people are graphic novel individuals, but like the format itself is like, if you're trying to get into a particular character, right, you can read everything from that IP and still be missing chunks of it because you need to go and read, like, if you're trying to get an X-Men, then you need to go read X-Force. If you're trying to get into like, there's a lot of things that you have to dive into, and I think that's cool, but I don't necessarily know why that's, I mean, your point there is like almost that because of the huge MCU universe, right, you have to watch one show to get another show, but isn't that the same thing as like having to read one issue of a comic to get another?
I wouldn't put it in that because the time commitment that we're asking you to give.
Oh, that's a solid point, because reading an issue can take anywhere from 5 minutes to a day. Or however long it takes you to knock through for you to consume information. I'm not gonna shout out to my dyslexic. You might take a while, but
shout out to them. Good for y'all. Not good, but
I'm just saying.
Audiobooks.
Right, audiobooks, right. So it's crazy to see it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I've liked about like issues from like Concrete Comics or CNS or literally, because it's just like they're still they feel like comics.
One thing I was gonna say about the thing that you linked us to is like it's only 9 pages, and the you had linked us to a comic here, and hold on, I'll show a panel here if I can get it to show correctly.
You'll never
hella light there, but you won't be able to read the words. But I love the art style that you've done here.
Thank you so much.
It reminds me
of Iris Alejandro. She killed it.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
fantastic.
She killed it.
That's actually, so I've always wondered, right? Because I've always I've loved comics since I was a kid, right? I don't read them nearly as much as I used to. Only I don't even know what the reasoning is. Maybe it's my adult attention span, or maybe it just doesn't feel the same, right? But I've always wondered how many people are really involved in putting this body of work.
If you had to list your kind of like not hierarchy, but your team right over there at CNS Comics, what would you say, where's that, what's the roster like there? Like how many different occupations are filled?
What's our starting five?
Starting five.
Well, it's Tales of the Stars. It's a sci-fi space action adventure with Wilson who's the head and founder of CNS Comics.
Mm-hmm.
There's Dark Fantasy, which is pretty much Skyrim or Oblivion or World of Warcraft. It was in this
high fantasy type stuff.
Dark fantasy book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by Speedy Art. He's an artist in Brazil. What else? And then it's myself.
Mm-hmm.
Man, all I had to do to get in there was to just be yourself. So
that's beautiful.
That's right.
What else? Yeah, then there's me, and then there's one more coming in, and Wilson will give the thumbs up or give the thumbs down on how they do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Does Wilson act as like the primary editor of most of the things, or is it?
Or is he really like?
I would say so. Yeah, he's very clear-headed. He's very thoughtful. He's very meticulous. He has a good heart.
Right.
And what else? That's very important. Working in this game of chess that is the industry.
The industry.
And
is everyone wearing multiple hats to try to get all this?
It's a very abstract occupation, because whenever you're working in any art studio, a video game studio, a comic book studio, a film studio, a Broadway studio, it's very abstract. As you said, people do wear multiple hats. Though Wilson is a very logical person, so I'm pretty sure he's getting people to do one thing. Don't get confused with
it's much better to like streamline, like, all right, do the thing you're good at. And
you also maybe call him the director. He's like kind of an individual that's gonna see the strengths in people and say, okay, I'm gonna delegate how this is gonna go. Like
it's very important to have a logical person drive the boat.
I agree.
Oh no, I get that.
Yeah,
That's kind of a thing in the show. Like me personally, I'm the head in the clouds, like optimist. I've got let's do it. The creative. I'm here for it 100%. He is the like very like not cynical, but very like organized. More so like
organized isn't the word.
Let's try to put our feet on the ground somewhere here, because there's got to be a bottom line.
I'm always thinking about like, how will this translate to audiences? You know what I mean? Because like, as a dude who has sat and like created entire worlds in my brain, and I'm like, oh, this is fucking fantastic. You guys will love this. And then you try to explain it to somebody and they're like glassy eyed, like, yeah, all right. That's cool. It's like, that's very disheartening. And as a creative, I'm like, I hate that feeling. I hate like when you're trying to explain your thing and it's like, it's not registering. It's not as magical to you as it is to me.
And so basically with that, so you've basically covered the fact that there are multi hats. Everybody's pretty much trying to, as a collective, make this thing work. But you've got one individual that's pretty much like, hey, we'll delegate the work. Yeah. So you mentioned that's what, 4 stories that are currently under CNS Comics currently.
With more to come.
With more to come, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. And this has been going on for like a solid now year total?
CNS has been, I think they've been going a few more years.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said before, I started in 2019 and I didn't take it serious till 2021. And here we are in 2022. The year is about to fucking end.
Yeah.
And a lot can change in a year.
Yeah, I agree.
No, most definitely. Absolutely. There are some people like the level of growth that you can see in a year's time in our millennium, in this time frame,
especially when you're focused, especially when you're like, all right, I'm not gonna. And I think you brought it up earlier. I think like the day that you're like, you know what, I don't care if I'm obnoxious about this. I don't care if people think that I'm annoying about this anymore. This is something that I care about. I want to see it become what it is. So I'll talk to anybody that'll fucking listen to it. Like, you know, that.
Speaking of that, I've been to art galleries. I've been to fashion shows. I've been to just hey, reading a book.
Yeah, right.
What are you? Read it.
Read it.
What I got in my hand right here.
That's the thing. It's like that's the love. That's
yeah, right.
Some
motherfucker came and threw a book at me, and now I'm just like,
200 pages in it.
Right. occasionally you'll find that one guy that's like, he sits down, he reads it, and it's like, this was fantastic.
This shit
And
changed my life.
That outweighs
about it, or like
that outweighs every negative comment that you could ever experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's like finding the one guy that's like, I read the whole thing, I fucking love this thing. It's like, I'm doing the right thing. Fuck it. I don't care.
You had mentioned in pre-production earlier that you had just gotten a review like on your book, and it wasn't necessarily the most like let's say flattering.
Yeah, he said that the dialogue, shout out Comic Opinions, because we need the most honest opinions.
Real deal,
definitely honest. He said that, and this is my strength as a writer, it's that I can write juicy dialogue, but it's a comic book, not a movie. There's only so much words that you could
fit into one panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he basically said, know what to cut and know what to keep.
Yeah.
I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Indeed.
There's truth to that. There's truth to like, all right, if I have one panel and I got like 13 fucking like dialogue bubbles or dialogue trees or whatever, you know, how much of the reader's attention can I expect to maintain? You know, and it's shitty to hear. It's shitty to be like, fuck. What do you mean? That shit was all important to me.
I just finished the script.
Right.
Indeed. But like what's wild is that for me is I've always loved the world of comics because it does both. It gives you incredibly complex stories, but also sometimes you can go find a comic that's literally all action, mostly colored panels that you can go through and check out. They're fun to look at and minimal dialogue. There's a bit of everything for everyone, right? But what I'll say is this is that no one is telling Bethesda, right, that they need to remove dialogue trees from their games to try to cut narrative shit. Like they're every goddamn
we could have dealt with less dialogue in fucking Fallout 4. New Vegas, everything was important. Fallout 3, most everything was important. Fallout 4, we could have dealt with less.
I could have dealt with less Minutemen.
Right. Oh, the fucking settlement's on fire again. All right. Fucking the
Hey, you got a minute?
Right.
Speaking of missions, right? You said something really interesting. That you said that right now these B companies, right, are able to start taking like these S rank Naruto style missions. You say that these B companies have these holes to fill that are like suddenly out there. Like, is there new sudden opportunity that you're seeing there? Like because of the time frame and the area that we're in now. Like where are you meaning with the S rank missions? Because I'm interested.
S rank missions, as in they could take Marvel's place.
I see.
Do you feel like they could take Marvel's place as they stand today, or do you feel like they could take Marvel's place as they stood once upon a time?
I'm not a genie. Time can only tell.
Right. Speak on that. I'm not a genie.
Big will happen. Like Godhood Comics is an amazing contender.
Okay.
You know, this is all competition.
It is competition.
Who can make the most money? And Godhood is definitely making the most money right now.
Yeah, they're up there.
They're very impressive. Like Tyler is amazing. Saturday is another. Well, they're manga, though. Regardless, like their books they're an amazing contender. Saturday AM, they're amazing. Black Sands.
Yeah.
They might have the cheat code really because they was on Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, yeah.
They were indeed on Shark Tank. And that's so it's awesome to see. And to see like all the things that are still going into it despite being on Shark Tank and despite, you know, getting the name out there. Right. It's awesome to see like the different moves like you get to see them in real time. And a lot of people
are making,
especially creatives, like they can see things happening in real time and be like, okay, that's working for this person. How can I make what they're doing work for me?
How do I copy them?
Right. Yeah, exactly. More or less, it is copying, but like, you know, I don't think there's any shame in it.
Yeah.
You do whatever, you do what works.
Well, I mean, like, there's a degree, like, absolutely, like, how do I copy them for sure? But it's like, well, if you can find a format, and not necessarily maybe in your like art, maybe not in your like, because I think everyone's imagination should like be the forefront of the thing. And I wish that's the case, but it's not always. But like I would hope in a new era, right, where individuals are trying to take places in Marvel, that we try to replace the regime with something that's a little more compassionate. Or like
I'm taking a guess that these Marvel execs are in their 60s, 70s.
I don't think you'd be wrong.
no, I would agree.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree that like most of these guys are like they're remembering an era of comics and storytelling that does not exist anymore. Yeah. And once you see some money, it's like, okay, I don't know what we need to do, but fucking just stay there, stay that course. And I think once you stay that course and get stagnant, that's when motherfuckers like Godhood, CNS, Black Sands, that's when motherfuckers like that can come in and just knock you out of that position.
So there is a lesson to be learned here about they were successful and they still sell to kids, though. I think their downfall was that their success made them lazy. And people started to notice that their art was getting lazy. So
you mean like the art itself, or do you mean like the entire package?
The entire package.
Okay. Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree that it's just like just the storytelling, the storyline, even beyond storytelling, right? Like the storyline that you crafted is no longer interesting.
No, right. It's a lot of and it's a lot of contrite random shit. It's just like, okay, like, look, we know that the Hulk is gonna have issues with he's always gonna have issues with his anger, right?
Right.
So we've transformed the Hulk 18 different times. He's been red, he's been gray, he's been black, he's been red. I mean,
he's been
blue.
In space, he's been on the Earth, he's been underwater, he's been underground.
Now let's now instead of trying to separate it, let's let Bruce like take the reins again. It's just kind of like a cycling of the same kind of thought process and story. It's like we put these heroes in these like gerbil cages and just say like run around in circles for me, please. Like we don't ever get that. And I'm hoping, right, and I'm seeing there's a lot of really cool evolution in like in comics in not indie space, because like again we don't like that word, in these big companies. Like I'm seeing it's like, okay, well, people are trying to go for opposite ends of the spectrum, things to that degree. You mentioned that the anti-hero is like you're epitome of the hero. If you feel like people really got powers, that's where it's at. So do you feel like is the anti-hero something that you try to put forward in your own like works pretty often?
Absolutely, 100,000%. Like for example, we're working on I'm afraid that people are gonna steal it, but they're not.
You know what? One thing that I heard very recently is just like never worry about somebody stealing your idea, because they could never do what you have planned for it.
Basically, you've heard of like Dexter, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're trying. Well, the script is already done and we're drawing it now. We're making like a therapist by day and a serial killer by night.
That's crazy.
So imagine if Dexter was a therapist. And that's why he behaves the way that he behaves, because of the stereotype that therapists are crazy anyway. That's why they're so wise. So yeah, definitely like a therapist by day, serial killer by night.
Right, kind of like Hannibal a little bit, but not like, but you know what I mean, not a cannibal.
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah. Or like
murder motherfuckers.
People really enjoyed the Netflix series You. It was very interesting, and that was because that guy was doing a lot of like mental profiles on the individual he was stalking prior to, and it was mostly just like social media type situations. But having someone who's actually medically trained as like a therapist,
right? You can circumvent so many things, and there's layers to it. And just hearing the premise, immediately I'm all like, okay, what's the motivation here? Why do you want to murder motherfuckers? Like, where are we going here? Where's the hero aspect to the anti-hero?
Well, I will say one thing. Before she became a therapist, she worked for the CIA.
I love that you said she. I love that you said she.
When we wrote the first draft, it was something very creepy about a dude analyzing it this way, but when we changed the character to a woman, it was like, there was some sort of awe and intrigue.
There's layers now. There's a whole different layer.
Yeah.
That's actually I'm very interested in reading that.
That's a fantastic premise and story.
Iris is drawing it right now.
Oh shit!
Fantastic. She's already on it.
Yeah. I actually have a question, right?
Yeah.
Because I love what CNS is doing. I love, Godhood. I love all these concrete. I love all of these what's the word? I don't want to say B level, I don't want to say indie, but I want to give them their respect. But these quote smaller studios, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that worries me, because I'm thinking about like all the comic fans of today that their first foray into these characters, like they learn these characters through like not anime, but like cartoons and other things, crossover media, right? And yeah. I start wondering, how important is crossover media to integrating new readers into it?
I don't like to read, so whenever I want to understand something better, I like to watch a documentary. So I'm sure it's the same thing. There was this thing where Iron Man wasn't popular until Robert Downey Jr. played him. Like,
I believe it.
Yeah, it breathed new life into the character.
Yeah, like people.
You were finally able to translate the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Iron Man's always been fantastic, but until you see what that fantastic looks like, what that could mean, you don't really, it doesn't click to you.
The Iron Man movie catapulted things because suddenly, like, all of these awesome things that we were seeing in the comic books that people enjoyed was now like splayed out on live screen. So in the case of your medium, right, in comics and things to that degree, like, I think the story is going to be awesome. I know there's a great deal of individuals that are into it, but with crossover media, are there any plans like for that as a progress? Are you looking into animation, or is it?
Yes. CNS is already working on Tales of the Stars animation. They're doing some 3D modeling. I don't know if they're working on what's those toys with the big eyes or whatever.
The Funko Pops?
Yeah, I don't know if
the vinyl figures or whatever.
Yeah, they're doing some some animations, some
right.
Awesome.
Yeah, Wilson knows way more about that.
Because that is something that's always like worried me, because it's just like I've developed the taste, I've developed the patience to sit down and be like, okay, this is a book, it's got pictures and words in it, and I'm gonna read it. Or you know what I mean, or I'm looking at this medium, I'm on my computer, I can sit down and I can read it. But there's so many people that got pulled into, like, Teen Titans, for instance, right?
Oh yeah,
people did not give a fuck about the Teen Titans until the cartoon came out, and now all of a sudden everybody is a Teen Titans fan.
It depended on the era it depended on the era that you were around, because motherfuckers loved Young Justice. It was a very fun time frame.
Yes,
we do love Young Justice.
Yeah,
it
was something that we kind of built
say
on
that people knew, like truly knew Young Justice, or truly knew like Teen Titans, that you kind of not needed, like, everybody didn't need it. Some people had that natural curiosity, but you kind of needed that thing to kind of like pull you in. It's like, okay, this exists. We only have so much to show you here, but if you just go pick up a volume, or go, to your local comic store, talk to the old guy behind the counter, he's gonna get you fucking right.
Yeah. But one thing I love about Young Justice is how they like played with the lines of the superhero culture. Like, there's a scene where the therapist / serial killer kills the wrong person, and she's like, oh my god, she has like this nervous breakdown. Like, my code has been broken.
Right.
And this is
the same scene in Dexter when he kills the wrong target, and he's like,
hearing from you, right, this has been fantastic. I'm looking in, peering in so deep into the actual like thought process of getting this stuff done. And I know so many individuals that like take time to listen to the show that are interested in this and that would love to get more of a breakdown on how they can kind of like where they fit in, where their brain is, or what skills to go try to pick up as they go through this. Because when you see someone making dope content, right, that allows you to like that allows your perspective to change and say, okay, well, that's possible. And that nigga look like me. He like that nigga's got to say so I can do that. And I think that's important for us as creators, and for us as young black men, or just anybody, like nerds in general. Like whatever space you want to occupy or whatever fucking card you want to hold up, like it's almost your responsibility to try to, like, if you've got other individuals that don't know that this is a possibility, it's your job to kind of go in and say,
you make it tangible.
Yeah, which I think that you're already doing in producing and creating your own like comic.
In the beginning, it could be hard, but when you have a team, you can actually like get some sleep.
So,
yeah, you can, like I have a ghostwriter.
Indeed, hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Like
I'm about to say, Eazy-E was not trying to stun on anybody.
It's in the delivery.
He was talking about his bars
in the delivery.
Yes, like I have a ghostwriter.
It's when you start lying and telling people that this is all me. Like I did this by myself. I'm 10 toes, just me.
Because it's a pet peeve when artists say, "Oh, I made it out the mud, bro. I did it by myself." So pretty much you're saying, fuck the cameraman, fuck the producer, fuck the engineer,
fuck every hand that was involved.
fuck the editor,
right?
Fuck the backup dancers, fuck the lighting.
They didn't do shit. They weren't.
I think you hear the fucking, like, you hear the ghostwriter thing and you're like, you get nervous and you're like, oh man, what the fuck? But I'm like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, as I say, it doesn't challenge your authenticity at all. Like
it makes my writing better.
Yeah.
So one thing, now that I said that out loud, now people are think, oh, did he write it?
No, no part of me doesn't believe it. No part of me doesn't believe like that's you. You know what I mean? So it's like
reading the shit, like actually having read your content. I'm like, okay, well, no, that's definitely having sat down, spoken with you now. And
it's literally how I talk.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it lines up fucking perfect. So
I hear the character's voice, right? But what I'm hearing is like the mental tones of like, okay, well, there's the influences here. There's the influences here. Like this is the real life.
I just want to give everyone their credit.
Yeah, no, as you should. And I love that you're willing to be like, hey, look, even if this quote makes me look bad, because I don't think it makes you look bad, but even if this quote makes me look bad, or if this makes you think like I'm less than, right? At least I told you who the real, like, like who the person is that did X, Y, or Z. What part of what part of New York are you from?
Yankee Stadium in the Bronx.
Word.
Oh,
god damn.
BX all day, hard streets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I like that. I like. Oh no, it's not.
Well, no. And the weird thing about New York is like everybody thinks like, oh, you're from New York. Oh, you fucking that shit's rough, huh? It's like depends on where you're going and at what time. So
yes.
Right. So like if you don't invite that type of bullshit into your life, then it don't happen. So yeah. My girlfriend's people, they come from they're from the Bronx.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They're from she's from Jersey City, and I guess that's where motherfuckers go when they think they got a little bit of money. They go to Jersey City.
To get morphine.
Right. Shit.
Yeah. Drew, I swear to God, like if we sat here any longer, I could just continue to keep on talking. That's my thing. I'm like, I'll ramble. Yeah. But I understand people got homework and shit to do. I was gonna say, and I think that you've been fantastic on the show.
Oh, for sure. I think you actually gave a lot of value to like up and coming creatives. People who are thinking about just starting their own shit, like what I mean, or just want to get in with what you guys are doing.
Speaking of like advice, like in terms of dialogue is the meat to everything. And one thing I would do to practice dialogue is like go outside and like. This might sound weird, but go outside and talk to girls and just notice how people talk. Like, notice how people interact with one another. What's their body language? And how people feel in certain settings and stuff like this.
Gotcha.
Usually when the dialogue is bad, the person just might be socially awkward.
Right.
They don't know how
it might have nothing to do with like the dialogue itself. It has everything to do with how it's,
the actual like the writer of the thing, because they have not had these have not done their conversational push-ups. Like
yeah.
Because I mean, like working that, it's a muscle. Like being able to have a conversation, to know how to react, or not even know how to react, but like see people respond, like feel energy and like give that back. And like that's something that makes a character real. Like you need to have, I mean, it doesn't always need to be a bounce in a conversation, but it does need to have like that actual electricity.
Ping pong.
Yeah. You know how to bounce it back. Like,
I mean,
how
like
to
that,
make it actually dialogue.
I think it comes from a theater background, to just understand it was like, no,
yes,
this be a back and forth. Like I've heard plenty of like directors be like, no, this needs to be throw the energy ball game. Everybody's like, okay, take the, you ever played the theater game? All right, basically you take like an imaginary ball, right? And then you chuck it at somebody, right? And as you chuck it, right, you're gonna throw out a sound, you're gonna throw out a noise, you're gonna throw out some type of emotion, right? And then just like throw it, and then they catch it, they hit you, they take your sound or whatever you threw out there, they catch
expound on it, and
then they throw it at somebody.
You throw it to someone else.
Yeah, and then eventually it kind of builds and grows. And it's like kind of a
it's like a warm-up, yeah.
Exactly. It's a warm-up game. And I feel like it's there to show you, it's like, okay, well, everybody here is a part of this conversation. Everybody that you list in a panel is a part of it. So when you're doing this, you have to understand that whatever energy this character is giving to this one, right, they need to respond back and not just like robotically deliver a line.
Right. Exactly.
So I totally get what you mean. Like it definitely sounds weird to somebody who's never like been out and just like had random conversations, but it is important. I feel like that's good advice.
Fuck yeah.
But thank you so much for dropping like a fucking gem on that.
Yeah.
As we close, I wanted to go ahead and say, do you have anything awesome and up and coming? Anything else you want to plug? Because this is the absolute greatest opportunity to do so. Because if you made it this far in the pod, you're A1 day one. You respect us. We appreciate you, and you should check out everything he's about to drop.
Follow us on Discord. That's where we drop all of our books, all of our ideas, animation.
We're gonna link that in the description below, of course, but definitely go check out that Discord, guys. This is the Well Spoken Token. I've got my brother here, bro. Say bye to the folks.
Yeah, all right. Y'all have a good one.
You're Drew. Say bye to the people, please.
Later.
Hey, it's the Well Spoken Token, and I'm out.